You said no. It was the right thing to do. You were exhausted. You needed space. You had every reason. And still, the guilt came anyway. Not because you did something wrong, but because your entire life, you were taught that saying no to people means losing them. And part of you still believes that. So you didn't just say no and move on. You said no. And then replayed it all day. The tone of your voice. The look on their face. That split second of silence before they responded. And suddenly, something small felt heavy. Like you'd done something unforgivable. Even when you were tired. Even when you had every right. Why does saying no feel like hurting someone? And why does it hurt you more than it hurts them? Maybe it looked like something small. A friend asked for a favor. A coworker needed help. Someone wanted your time, your energy, your attention. And you paused. For a second. You actually thought about yourself. You felt the exhaustion. You knew you needed space. So you said it. No. Simple. Clear. Honest. But the moment it left your mouth, something shifted. A quiet discomfort. Then guilt. You started filling in the silence with imagined reactions. Did they think I was rude? Maybe I should have just done it. It wasn't even that big of a deal. And before you knew it, you were already planning how to make up for it. Even though you didn't do anything wrong. That feeling doesn't come from the present. It comes from something older. Think about the last time you said no and felt guilty. Not the surface of it. The feeling underneath. It probably felt familiar. Like something you've carried your entire life. Not a reaction to that moment. A memory. Because for a lot of people, saying no was never safe. Not when you were younger. Not when your needs felt like problems. Not when keeping the peace mattered more than being honest. So you adapted. You learned to say yes quickly. To avoid tension. To avoid disappointment. You became easy to deal with. Helpful. Agreeable. Reliable. And that worked. People liked you for it. They called you reliable. Low maintenance. Mature. But here is what nobody said out loud. They were comfortable around you. Because you made yourself smaller. And somewhere along the way, you started confusing being needed with being loved. Those are not the same thing. Being needed means people come to you when it is convenient. Being loved means they stay when it isn't. There was a hidden rule underneath all of it. If you say no, you risk losing connection. And that rule stayed with you. Even now. Because you didn't just learn to say yes. You learned to measure your worth through it. Through being useful. Through being available. Through not being too much. So when you say no, it's not just a boundary. It feels like you're becoming less of the person people like. And that thought alone is enough to make you question everything. You might not notice it in big moments. But it shows up in small ones. Saying yes when you're already overwhelmed. Answering messages when you need silence. Agreeing to plans you don't even want to go to. And each time, you tell yourself it's easier this way. Be honest, how many times have you said yes? When every part of you was screaming no. And told yourself it was fine. But later, you didn't feel fine. You felt invisible. Quietly frustrated. Sometimes even resentful. Not at them. At yourself. Because a part of you knew. You didn't actually want to say yes. Here is what changes everything. Guilt doesn't always mean you did something wrong. Sometimes, it just means you did something different. Different from what people expect. Different from what you've always done. And your nervous system isn't used to that yet. So it sends a signal. Go back. Fix it. Make them happy again. Not because you're wrong. But because you're changing. And change always feels dangerous at first. To someone who survived by staying small. So the next time you say no. And the guilt shows up right on schedule. Don't fight it. Just notice it. And remind yourself. This guilt isn't about today. It's about every time you were taught that your comfort mattered less than someone else's. You're not guilty. You're healing. And healing always feels wrong at first. Because it's new. Because you're not used to taking up space. But you were always allowed to. Nobody just told you. In the next video, we go somewhere most people avoid. Why the people who love you the most are sometimes the ones who make you feel the most invisible. Because once you see that pattern, you'll finally understand why some relationships exhaust you. No matter how much you care. Be ready for next amazing topic.